the issue of registration of artisanal miners. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that Uganda is really endowed with minerals, a number of minerals, and we know the potential that these minerals can have in our economy to develop our country. So we think that the Mining and Minerals Act of 2022, which provides for the registration of artisanal miners, is in place. But 1 year later, we still see that the registration of artisanal miners has been very slow. And we want to advise that government should expedite the registration of artisanal miners and address the challenges that are leading to the delay of formalization of the artisanal miners. We need to benchmark what other countries are doing. For example, having a one-stop center in case an artisanal miner is interested in formalization, and also reducing on some of the demands that artisanal miners find it is too much on their part, and for now they prefer to remain in informality. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, the Alliance and then the press for coming, the Fourth Estate. I would like to re-echo the issue of management of tax exemption and incentives. We've noticed that tax exemptions have not lived up to its intended purpose. And also, as the Alliance, we realize that there has not been any recent study that shows that tax exemptions and incentives can actually yield better results. We've seen this with the Auditor General's report, where the Auditor General has come out and said that among the 36 beneficiaries of tax exemption, about 22, which is almost more than half of them, are operating below 50%. So we've seen that there are evidence that shows that tax exemptions actually doesn't lead to what? Doesn't lead to a beneficial factor. We've seen issues with the IFRIS, and I've been seeing it a lot in the media of recent, but also the traders going up in arms and trying to fight this system. IFRIS is not actually a tax; it's just a measure of collecting the tax. But why are the traders and also the business community fighting back? We've noticed that URA and then the government itself has not done enough in terms of citizens and then taxpayers' education and awareness. This is something that instead of again introducing some of the new tax and with what we have challenged, let us focus more on educating the citizens, the taxpayers, so that when we introduce and also this tax, I know if the parliament approves it and they agrees with it, it will come in the next financial year. But how ready are the taxpayers to accept these taxes if they are still fighting the IFRIS, which is not a new thing? So it's something that taxpayer education needs to be put in the forefront. We have issues related to the management of the revenue cycle. We've seen money being invested in unproductive sectors and have not yielded. If you look at the Auditor General's report, it has given a lot of projects which have performed under capacity. So we are calling on the government to put money in productive sectors, to put money where we can generate more. I know we need the taxes, but if we cannot get the taxes, can we utilize the little money we have into productive and efficient sectors? So we are calling for efficiency in government systems. I'm happy that government have started introducing systems and to try and manage even the revenue collection. We have the IFRIS, we have so many management systems, but the change management system has become a problem. That it is hard for even the government themselves to transition into the new systems and try to start operating effectively. We've seen this change management system with I would give again the same example of IFRIS. This is a new system, but people are rejecting it because we've not handled that component of how are people going to change from this manual system of management. We've also seen this in government, where we've seen some of the civil servants are still in the old system, and yet government already has a new public service new system. So these are the things that government needs to look as far as we are handling these issues of taxation. The issue of interest payment, I think my colleague from Uganda Debt Network will come in, but I want to bring in the issues of supplementary. Now, even this financial year is ending, but last week government has tabled a new supplementary budget, which is about 1.1 trillion. This is the last quarter. We are remaining with it roughly 1 month to end the financial year, but government has come in to give another supplementary. This is way beyond the thresholds that the Public Finance Management Act does allow, because last year, if you remember, government tabled about 3.5 trillion in supplementary, and all of it passed. So now we're calling on the government to try and reduce from calling a supplementary. Even our preliminary analysis shows that some of the supplementary they're asking for doesn't qualify. They're asking for recurring expenditure that should be forecast, that can be seen, it can be avoided. So we are calling government that why table a supplementary at the end of the financial year when you could actually wait and put the thing in the new budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much to my colleagues.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Alo Stephen. I'm a member of the Tax Justice Alliance, and I work for the Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group. Thank you.
My name is Oscar Mark Otile, and I'm a member of the Tax Justice Alliance, and I work for Accord.
Thank you. I am Faith Lumonia, and I am a member of the Tax Justice Alliance, and I work for Akina Mama Africa. And I would just like to add my voice to my former colleagues who have just spoken and speak about the issue of the progressive tax system. So for a long time we've been demanding that the government puts in place a progressive tax system. The current system as it is regressive because it focuses or targets individuals who spend a significant amount of their money on consumption. So the ways in which our tax system is structured is such that whether it's VAT or excise duty, a lot of the taxes that have been put in place target us as consumers, and so there is need for more effort to target individuals who are able to, who don't necessarily spend a significant amount of their income on consumption, and to tie this up with the issue of gender responsiveness, because a lot of the times when we talk about the need for a progressive tax system, we are also talking about the need for a system that is gender responsive, because a significant amount of money is also spent on consumptive taxes to be able to meet care needs. When you, for instance, think about the amount of money or the proportion of money that a lot of us as working class people, or a lot of poor people, or and a significant number of those being women, you find that a lot of the money that they are earning every other day or every other month has to be spent on care expenses. For instance, issues to do with food, issues to do with fuel, issues to do with electricity. And so even when you think about, for instance, the soap that you are buying, the oil, all these things are necessary to be able to run a home. And because the burden of running a home often falls on women and on poor people, it's important that we are cognizant of that, and that the tax system every other time it's amended, that it is amended to ensure that we are reducing on the amount of money that people are spending, on the amount of money that people are spending in terms of tax when they attempt to buy consumer goods and services. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the issue of tax certainty and stability. If you are an entrepreneur, particularly a micro and small entrepreneur, you know that this particular issue affects us differently, because if you're not able to plan ahead and know that at a point in time T, this is the amount of tax that I'm supposed to pay as part of maybe my business income, or when you have imported certain goods and services, then it becomes difficult to plan for your business. And I'll give an example. When you import, if you're a small importer and you import commodities, for example, through the airport, when you get to the airport, it's difficult to know prior how much money you're supposed to pay in terms of tax, because the URA every month releases a specific exchange rate to the officials, the customs officials. And this particular rate is not even a rate that is in line with the market rate. We know that we live in a liberalized capital accounts economy, and they have allowed for exchange rate to be determined by market forces of demand and supply. But when it comes to the exchange rate that URA uses, this is a rate that is determined by the Revenue Authority. So it's impossible for you as an importer to determine the amount that you'll actually pay, because when they are calculating, for instance, how much your commodities were charged, say, so for instance, if you bought them in US dollars and they are supposed to be transferred into Uganda shillings, you're unable to determine how much that will be. And so the issue of tax certainty and stability is also one that the government needs to look into. But also, like was already highlighted, the amount, how long it takes for a new tax law to be implemented is also important. In certain countries, they allow for 6 months or a year, that if an amendment is done this year, it will not be effected this year, it will be effected in the next financial year, or at least 2 years later, to allow for people to prepare for it. As I conclude, I wanted to also speak about the issue of tax utilization. I mean, we live in a country where, for example, the out-of-pocket expense on health is very high. It's more than 35%. So for us to be able to access health care, you're supposed to ensure that you have money in your pocket to be able to pay for health. And if you're privileged and have insurance, it's different. But a lot of us as taxpayers are constantly having to pay an additional money when we go to access health. And so I think it's important for government to be also cognizant about the utilization of how this tax is being utilized. I can't belabor the point around how our roads look like and how that directly affects whether it is health or education or trade. And so I think for me, it's just to re-emphasize the point that yes, it's okay to collect, but it's also important to utilize it in a way that benefits the citizens. Thank you.
My name is Christine Birinchiro, and I work for Uganda Debt Network and a member of the Tax Justice Alliance. And today, from the press conference, I will speak to the tax exemptions on the income from government securities on the secondary market. And while this would ideally be a welcome move, because on the secondary market, that is where we see more players and a bigger, private sector, individuals, and generally any citizen coming in to invest. And so we would think that it is being inclusive. If the interest is not there, then it would encourage ordinary citizens to come in and lend to government, and this would also be good for government, specifically for the longer term securities, like the treasury bonds, which are 10 years plus. And so while we see this as a good move for government to access credit and probably throw their net wider in terms of revenue mobilization, our main worry is around one, the awareness raising, because right now there are very few, especially individuals, who are aware about this kind of investment